Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Tuesday. If you're on the East Coast, it is Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. First thing you need to do if you're listening over Apple is hit that 5-star rating. It's a must. Help us fight the algorithms. Look, I just watched this Monday Night Football game, and I said, hey, why wait until tomorrow morning to react to what we just saw, the fall of Jalen Hurts, the collapse of Jalen Hurts, a 4-interception game, which was really a 5-interception game. And I think it has ramifications and implications that go beyond Jalen Hurts. I'm going to connect tonight's conversation and reaction to the Philadelphia Eagles losing to the Los Angeles Chargers, I believe 22-19, really bad game. Both quarterbacks were bad. But I'm going to connect what we are seeing with Jalen Hurts to this entire Shedeur Sanders discussion. We will share an interview that I did earlier tonight with Danny Kanell in reaction to college football and Shedeur Sanders being named the QB1 in Cleveland. And then we'll end the show with Shemeka Michelle joining me, and we'll talk a little bit about, have you seen this Cinnabon controversy? The white lady that called some Somali people that she says were harassing her. She called them the N-word, and the whole reaction to that. Shemeka and I will dice that up. But, welcome to a special Monday night edition of Fearless. Why wait? We just watched the game. Why should we wait until tomorrow morning to give you my super hot take off the game? The other thing, why wait until tomorrow morning to give your Christmas gift to God? Don't forget to support PreBorn. PreBorn is one of our primary sponsors here. It's our partner in, I don't want to say crime, that's the cliche. It's our partner in doing good, in honoring God. PreBorn is an organization that believes, like we do, that life begins at conception, and they provide expectant mothers an ultrasound. An expectant mother that's considering an abortion, they provide her an ultrasound. They introduce that baby's heartbeat and that baby's image to the mother while the baby's in the womb. Now she's twice as likely to choose life, and that's where PreBorn steps in and steps up and supports that woman and child throughout the pregnancy for up to 2 years. That's during the pregnancy, that's after the baby's born, for up to 2 years. And they can do that because we support PreBorn. Every ultrasound costs $28. 5 ultrasounds cost $140. Whatever it is you can afford to give, do it right now by dialing pound 250 on your smartphone and saying the keyword baby. That's pound 250 keyword baby, or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless. If Jesus Christ is on your Christmas list, and he should be, give a donation to PreBorn as your gift. All right, let's get into today's show. Jalen Hurts looks real bad right now. He's been under heat and under criticism from A.J. Brown and from Eagles fans. And like, hey, what is Jalen Hurts? Is he a franchise quarterback? Is he in the conversation with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson as someone that's a difference maker at the quarterback position? He's certainly paid like that. He's certainly paid. Let's remove Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, 3 of the most talented, physically gifted. There's a question, is Jalen Hurts Dak Prescott even at this point? He's certainly paid like he is. But is he? This is year 6. I don't think he's ever thrown more than 23, 24 touchdown passes in a season. Yes, the tush push and his running game adds to his QB play. But is this really a franchise quarterback? And when you've seen the kind of criticism he's received this year, or the beef between he and A.J. Brown and the conversation that's around Jalen Hurts, where I immediately go is, that's why I don't understand the whole fuss around Shedeur Sanders. Because as it relates to quarterback play, it's a long process. The way they've dumbed down the QB position, the way they've made the QB position so easy, it's a long process before you ever figure out what you really have at the quarterback position. Here's Jalen Hurts in year 6. He's won a Super Bowl. But no one really sees him as a franchise quarterback. And heck, if things keep going the way they are in Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, who did they go away from for Nick Foles? Was it Carson Wentz that who did they get rid of and then turn to Nick Foles and he led them to a Super Bowl? Are you sure it was Carson Wentz? Was Carson Wentz? Yeah, it was Carson Wentz. They turned to him, and then Nick Foles led them to a Super Bowl, and they turned away from Nick Foles. Are we sure it was Carson Wentz? We're 1,000% sure. Maybe it was Carson Wentz. All right, so we've seen this before in Philadelphia. Quarterback leads the team to a Super Bowl, and then they eventually move on from him because he's really not the guy. He's just a guy that led him to a Super Bowl. Is that what we have here in Jalen Hurts? And this is why I keep telling people, pipe down about Shedeur Sanders. It's great that he had a good game against the Tennessee Titans. But all of this crown him and, he's been oppressed and he's been mistreated. And I just saw today or yesterday that Kevin Stefanski, Tony Grossi and these guys were asking him questions. Do you regret now not starting Shedeur earlier in the season? As if every franchise opens up every season with a QB battle where the 5th string quarterback is right in there competing for the starting job, and why weren't you giving him first team reps and all this other stuff? The quarterback position in this day and age is one of the biggest mysteries in all of sports. This is so different. Let's go back to, I believe, 1983, the great QB class, and think about Dan Marino coming into the NFL. And Dan Marino immediately lighting the National Football League on fire. Back then, when a quarterback lit the league, a young quarterback lit the league on fire like that at a young age, the degree of difficulty was so hard that you knew that the quarterback had proven something. They're like, oh man, Dan Marino just lit it up like this early in his career. He's going to be something. These guys now can light it up for a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons, and still have not proved that they are big-time franchise quarterbacks. And I get that the argument about Shedeur is silly and sophomoric and it's groupie field and that some people are like anything Shedeur, every time he completes a pass is proof that everybody was wrong and he should have been drafted higher, blah, blah, blah. I get it, that it's a stupid, silly conversation. But I wish people would just hey, let's let history be our guide. It's not just Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert last night. This was a field goal marathon last night. This was a bad football game. There was a lot of mediocre quarterback play. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts. Justin Herbert looked mediocre. Some of that had to do with the offensive line. He got sacked 7 times. But this was a bunch of field goals getting kicked because neither quarterback could actually sustain a drive, be consistently accurate enough to get anybody into the end zone. And so Jalen Hurts threw 4 interceptions, and there should have been a 5th. They overturned an interception that, to me, they had no reason to overturn. Said the guy trapped it on the ground. There was no hardcore proof. They called it an interception in real time. There was not clear and obvious evidence that it was an interception. Jalen Hurts could have thrown 5 interceptions last night. The Philadelphia Eagles now have lost 3 straight games. There's a lot of heat, a lot of attention on Jalen Hurts, and there's going to be a lot of questions about what do we actually have here in Jalen Hurts. What we know we have, what I do think has been proven, is he's a legitimate leader. He can handle adversity. He's someone that was built for the kind of stress that Philadelphia and Eagles fans are going to put on him. How do we know this? By the way he handled things at Alabama when he got unseated by Tua Tagovailoa, didn't go off the reservation on the Alabama Crimson Tide, came back in late in that season and saved their season, and then transferred to Oklahoma and had a great run in Oklahoma and then moved to the NFL as a second-round pick. He is mentally built for this. He has real integrity and real leadership skills. The reason why many of us question Shedeur Sanders is because we don't trust what's between the ears. We don't trust what's in his head. We don't know how he's going to deal with adversity. And trust me, there's one thing guaranteed in the National Football League. They've softened it up. They've made it easy to play quarterback. But there is still going to be a test. There's still going to be some adversity. There's still going to be getting banged up and having to play hurt. There's still going to be diva wide receivers on every team that will question the quarterback, question his leadership, question his decision-making. What's going to happen when the spit really hits the fan in Cleveland and you have a Shedeur Sanders who, to me, the thing that separates, because like Jalen Hurts and that level of if Shedeur exceeds expectations, he'll play at the level Jalen Hurts played for several years in the National Football League, and he might lead a team on a postseason run. That's if he exceeds my very limited expectations for him. That's the best Shedeur Sanders could be. But the reason why many of us are skeptical is because unlike Jalen Hurts, Shedeur doesn't have any of those characteristics, those leadership qualities that separate and make Jalen Hurts and made Jalen Hurts a championship caliber quarterback. Shedeur, and this is what I see from his fan base, this is what I see from Shedeur, he doesn't know how to compete because he's never had to compete. And so Shedeur yesterday, late in the day, Kevin Stefanski and the Browns named Shedeur as the Brown starter for the rest of this season. And everybody's acting like, oh, look at the oppression Shedeur survived. He earned everything. Nothing was given to him. He just proved what a competitor. No, he didn't. No, he hasn't. 5th round pick that rode the bench for 6, 7, 8 weeks of the NFL season. Don't whip out your violin. Nobody knows the trouble Shedeur said. Cut it out. This isn't oppression. He wasn't sitting in the back of the bus. He didn't have water hose sprayed on him. He was treated like a 5th round pick. He's proven nothing so far about his character. Nothing. And I'm not going to apologize for saying that, because when I look at someone like Jalen Hurts, who's the starting quarterback at Alabama, gets benched by Nick Saban, a legendary coach, doesn't go south on the team, comes back in and leads the team, and never comes out of character, that's someone that has proven their high character. Shedeur hasn't done any of that. He's pretended to be a victim while he set the bench behind Joe Flacco and Dylan Gabriel. He's let his fan base smear the reputation of Dylan Gabriel and Kevin Stefanski without saying anything real, defending them and taking the heat off of them. And now that he has a starting quarterback job, and now that he's played one good game against a horrific Tennessee Titans team, I'm not ready to crown Shedeur. I want to show you some rookie stats from Jalen Hurts and from Justin Herbert, the 2 quarterbacks we just watched tonight, the 2 quarterbacks that got big contracts, and everyone says, oh, they're talented, they're franchise-type quarterbacks. And I just watched this mess tonight, and I'm talking about from Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. I'm like, what have they proven? Who are they? 5, 6 seasons into their NFL career. Who are they? No one knows. No one. It's a 3 to 5-year process, on the field process now in the National Football League for these quarterbacks. Do we have the graphic of theirs? Yeah, these are their best games from their rookie year. And everybody's acting like Shedeur just set the world on fire because the Tennessee Titans, with the second worst or third worst defense in the National Football League, he put up 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, ran for another touchdown, rushed for 29 yards. Well, Jalen Hurts, his rookie year against Arizona, 338 passing yards, 62 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, rushing TD, passer rating of 102.3. Justin Herbert, what is that? 347 passing yards, 3 TDs, 0 interceptions, a 111 passer rating, 66 rushing yards, a rushing TD. All of those numbers better. And I hear you, well, they were getting first team reps all during training camp, and that cut it out. These are inexperienced rookies playing, and these guys had their best games earlier in the season than what Shedeur has had. But who cares? That's not my point. My point is a rookie can show flashes. And people can say, oh, man, I'm telling you, this guy's got next. He's the next big deal. And we could be 5 years later and we have no clue. I don't know what Justin Herbert is. Certainly nothing that happened last night proved to me what Justin Herbert is. Yes, I know he had surgery on his hand a week ago and he gutted out some things, but he didn't look good. Not to me. Interception. I think he fumbled a couple times. I know he was sacked 7 times. He did take a beating and keep on ticking, but Jalen Hurts proved nothing either. Anybody that watched that game last night, it's like, man, these are 2 mid quarterbacks that Philadelphia and the Los Angeles Chargers have paid a lot of money to. And we're now running around. We're ready to anoint. We're ready to crown Shedeur Sanders. Miss me with any and all of that. No one knows what we have. It's going to remain a mystery for quite some time. Who knows? Who knows what we have in any of these quarterbacks? That's the point I wanted to make coming out of that Monday Night Football game. 22-19 victory for the Chargers. The Eagles, I think, they're still on top in the NFC East. The Chargers remain relevant in the AFC West. They're still a couple of games, if not 3 games, behind the Denver Broncos, who have won 10 straight. Dallas is, maybe nipping at the heels of the Philadelphia Eagles. Neither one of these teams look like contenders to me. And Jalen Hurts going probably, at this point, we can say, going into next year, his job in Philadelphia will be on the line. He won't be able to repeat this season next year. And I know he had only thrown 2 interceptions going into this game, but anybody that's been watching Philadelphia is like, they're not winning these games because of Jalen Hurts. They're not. It's the defense. It's Saquon Barkley. It's, the other little intangible things they're doing that kept them winning. It ain't Jalen Hurts. Same thing going on in L.A. with the Chargers. And I know they've had a bunch of injuries. I know the offensive line's banged up. Joe Alt didn't play last night, and Justin Herbert got sacked a lot. But anytime I watch Justin Herbert, I like the raw talent, but he just doesn't seem consistent enough to me. All right, so before I get to Danny Kanell, and we'll talk a little college football, and we'll talk a little Shedeur getting anointed. We're all now living in, the Shedeur Sanders era. We'll talk a little bit about that with Danny Kanell, and we'll certainly talk some college playoff stuff with Danny Kanell. Before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about the holidays and CBD Distillery. The holidays are hectic, family drama, last-minute shopping, late nights can make the holidays feel like an endurance test. That's why I'm sharing the ultimate holiday survival plan, CBD from CBDistillery. Seriously, everything you need for a merry holiday is here. Stuff mom's stocking with CBD for better sleep. Gift your fitness friends a pain relief stick for post-workout pain. And don't forget to grab a little holiday calm for yourself. Every CBDistillery product is made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers or anything artificial. And with more than 2 million customers and 100% money back guaranteed, it's a gift you can feel good about giving. I know when this is over, this is a very late night for me. I'm going to take, one of these little sleep gummies or chew one of these little sleep gummies and get me some good sleep thanks to CBDistillery. Use the promo code FEARLESS. You can save 25% off on your purchase right now. Visit CBDistillery.com. Enter the code FEARLESS for 25% off. That's CBDistillery.com. Promo code FEARLESS. CBDistillery.com. Danny Kanell, X. They can make anything sound good. The words that I'm saying right now on this show, they can put a beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it, and put their sales team behind it, and put their television industry behind it, and put their internet algorithms behind it, and make the words that I'm saying right now into a rap song. Beat behind it, beat behind it, beat behind it, that the idiots in the world, and I'm talking about me and everybody else, we will buy it and call it great. Beat behind it, beat behind it. The music industry doesn't reward talent, not the American music industry, not the world's music industry. It doesn't reward talent. It rewards the promotion of degeneracy. All right, welcome back. All right, as we do every Tuesday, Danny Kanell from CBS Sports, Danny Kanell, the Florida State all-time great, Danny Kanell, the former NFL quarterback, joins us on Tuesday. Danny, I want to start in just a weird place, just right off the top of the news cycle. There's I think, 44-year-old, been retired since 2020, quarterback who wants to play for the Colts, and his name isn't Colin Kaepernick. Not that Colin Kaepernick is 44, but it's Phillip Rivers. The Colts lost Daniel Jones. He tore his Achilles. Riley Leonard, the Notre Dame quarterback, got hurt. Anthony Richardson's been hurt. Phillip Rivers wants to come out of retirement. What do you make of this?
Oh, I'm here for it. Like, I want to see this happen just from the potential train wreck of it. This to me, so I think I've told you before, I think the quarterback position now is easier than it's ever been before, right? I mean, we just see young players come in and we see players putting up big stats. You can't touch the quarterback at all. Every rule favors offense. It's a quarterback's game, and they very rarely get hit. So I guarantee you, quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers, and he's probably not the only one, are watching this being like, man, if Joe Flacco can go out there and rip it up for 450 yards, why can't I? So that's definitely in them. And every player, regardless of what they tell you, I think there's a few that go out in their own terms, but there's guys that just, whether it's they miss the money or they miss the competition or they miss the locker room, they want to be out there competing, and they always have that inner itch to kind of scratch. And I think that's what's happening with Phillip Rivers. He sees an opportunity. He's got plenty of relationships throughout the league, and you're seeing him say, let me kick the tires on this thing. By the way, Schefter did report he is a grandfather, which I think would be the first time. I don't know if any position, if we've ever had an active player that is actually a granddad. Like, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't have kids, so like I couldn't get the family photo with like my wife and my kids, my daughters with me. Like, I can just picture the family Christmas card now. Phillip Rivers and all his children, his grandkids, like, and he's out there in the uniform. Let's just picture it now.
I will guarantee he is not the first. He'll be the first that's public about it, but he will not be the first. I'm sitting here, and I'm not going to call the name of my college roommate, who I think was a grandfather at 37, maybe. And so it's just not that, let's go to another sport. I bet you Karl Malone was a grandfather at an early age. I just think, and if you go back to these previous years when people used to start really, really early, and some guys that start really early on accident, I bet you he's not the first, but he'd be the first that's public about it. But listen, I think that take even someone like myself that was a mediocre mid-major college football player. There's something in your mind that can remember everything you could do in your youth, and you still think you can pull that out. You can get that, even if it's just for a brief moment. And you're wrong, you can't. And so Philip Rivers may have tricked himself into he can still play, and hey, when I throw in the backyard, it still has that zip. But it's not the same as when you take that field and there's some 22-year-old chasing after you.
Yeah, and Philip Rivers, I believe, has been coaching high school football, so I'm sure he's out there throwing with the kids, feels like, hey, I've still got it. I also think there's been a lot of medical advancements that have been made as far as feeling really good. I'm sure he feels like he's in great shape. There's peptides. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many of your friends in your age group are taking peptides, but almost everybody I've got, my wife's friends, they're all taking some sort of peptides, and you can be tricked into feeling great. Not a tricked. I mean, there's a lot of science behind it. It's a big industry. There's $1 billion industry of people taking these injections and peptides and trying to do everything to feel this fountain of youth is definitely something people are searching for. And I don't even know if that's what it is. Philip Rivers is somebody who's been more of a teetotaler. He's always doesn't drink. Like, I believe he's probably in pretty good shape. So I'm kind of curious to see. I mean, Flacco is what, 40?
Yes.
And he
but
played,
never
so
stopped.
I'm kind of curious to see if it does happen, what it would look like.
I just think it's the stopping. Flacco never stopped. He kept going, kept going, kept going. When and I know you've been out on that high school field coaching and all that other stuff, but that's just not the same. But listen, I don't blame him. I do. If I'm the Colts, though, if you bring in Philip Rivers, it's because you're trying to. Well, you know what? I take that back. I was going to say it's like you're still trying to win, but you're really maybe you're just trying to develop all the players around. You need a competent quarterback to develop wide receivers. You got this Tyler Warren, the tight end. Maybe it does make a little more sense than what I'm thinking off the top of my head, because I'm like, well, you'd be better off with, I don't know who's out there that's 27 years old that can't play a lick, but maybe you'd be better off with a 44-year-old Philip Rivers.
Right. I mean, that's what I was trying to look up. Riley Leonard was there. He's obviously hurt again. Like, that's why they're in this position. They have Brett Rippon, who is a journeyman on their roster. I mean, they obviously may not like him. I'm looking at some names. You tell me if these are more attractive than what Philip Rivers would bring to the table. Sam Ehlinger, former quarterback at Texas. He's kicked around a little bit, 27 years old. Taylor Heineke, remember his name? He kind of always comes up, sort of a journeyman quarterback. Trevor Siemian is out there. Here's one. They want to go to, this is not the fountain of youth. This is another older quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, who has been completely forgotten about. He's only 37, and he's been, kind of kicking it around. The names that are out there, to the point of like the Colts, like, do you bring in all these guys, have a workout, stack them up next to each other and say, all right, who's in the best shape? Or do you go with somebody who's played a lot of football because they want to work him out, see what he looks like? Maybe they feel his experience gives you an advantage.
Yeah, you got to have an experience. You got to have a guy that can check in to the right plays, read the blitz and all that other stuff, just to develop the other players around. Feel sorry for the Colts that they're in this position. It was just a few weeks ago. People like myself, hey, this may be the best team in football. Now they're not. All right, Danny, let me move into the area that everybody's been talking about, and I spent a lot of time yesterday talking about. Are you outraged on behalf of Notre Dame?
No, I'm not outraged on behalf of Notre Dame. I get why they got left out. I think they did get screwed. But to the point of outrage of skipping on your bowl game and taking your ball and going home, I did not love that mentality. I don't love that. But I do think they did get screwed. I think Alabama should have been the team that was left out. There were 3 teams with 2 spots. And I thought Miami should have been the first in line because they beat Notre Dame in the regular season. I was okay with that. And I thought that should hold precedence. And you had the situation with Alabama, who's standing there losing 2 of their last 4 games coming down the stretch. Did not look like it made much sense to me. They were playing some of the worst football they've been playing all season. So I thought the way they looked in the SEC championship game, it would have been easy for the committee to say, you know what? This team's bad. We're going to kick them out. And then they resolved the Notre Dame Miami debate by having them both in, which I think are 2 better teams than Alabama. So outrage. I don't know if I'm outraged by it, but I do think they got screwed. But I don't love the way they've been. I don't love how they skipped their bowl game. I don't love their athletic director calling out Jim Phillips in the ACC and crying about them. They're an independent. They took on this risk by not being in a conference, and I think this is the first time it's really burned them.
I'm outraged. I think you've fallen for false narratives. This should have never been a discussion about, well, they lost head-to-head to Miami. It should have always been like, are they better than Alabama? Are they perhaps even the other part of the argument where I disagree with just about everything about this? They've won 10 straight games. And that, to me, supersedes that, hey, in September, they lost to Miami, a very good Miami team. They've won 10 straight games. You know how many major college teams have won more than 10 straight games at this point? 1, Indiana. Georgia's won 9 straight. Then it drops all the way to 6 with Texas Tech and someone I can't think off the top of my head. Winning 10 straight games, and I don't soft competition. No, these are power forward teams that, maybe aren't that good, but USC's not bad. Pitt's not bad. Who else? There's another quality victory they have in there against a power forward team. 10.
You mentioned USC, right?
Yeah, I mentioned USC. 10 straight victories is impressive. You don't leave a major conference or major power team out that's won 10 straight and is 10-2 overall. Yeah, I don't care that they lost to Miami, and I certainly think they're better than Alabama. Everybody's underestimating and not putting enough thought into the significance of 10 straight.
It's a good point. I probably looked down on the schedule and said, you know what, who have they really beaten? And I think you could make that case for several teams. That happened to Texas A&M, who finally got clipped against Texas because they had beaten Notre Dame, and then they were playing the bottom half of the SEC. And so you look at them and say, who really have they beaten? I think Indiana, as good as they've been, I think their schedule was worth looking at, but they did beat Oregon, which is a better win than anything Notre Dame had. I do, for me, I did look at the 10 games, and maybe I was an elitist, but you put it in pretty good context when you tell the amount of teams that are out there that do not come close, 6 games. And, that's the streaks out there aren't very long that exist. So that is pretty good context. But I do think this is one where we're really learning that this is the SEC and Big Ten Invitational. I always thought it was the SEC Big Ten plus Notre Dame. This is the first. That's why I think it was so surprising to everybody that they got left out. But I got caught up in the Notre Dame Miami, said Miami should be in over Notre Dame. And then on Sunday, before, I was like, they cannot put Alabama in. So, that's where I get Notre Dame being upset, because I think Notre Dame and Miami fans, if you would have asked them, what do we need to happen? It would have been BYU gets blown out, Alabama gets blown out, and then we have 2 spots open up for both of us. That's exactly what happened, and it didn't happen. So I get their frustration from that standpoint.
How about we just go? All the sports world has gotten in bed with gambling. Why don't we just go to Vegas? Vegas
I don't
had
like
them
that.
as the 4th or 5th favorite to win the national championship. They're ranked in the top 10 in, I think, both polls. What are we doing here? If the 4th or 5th favorite for the national championship needs some sort of luck or all the things to fall their right way, what are we really doing here? I think Notre Dame's case is clear cut. The consensus is that they're probably the 5th or 6th best team in the country. based on if you just went eye test. Most
Right.
people would say that. What are we doing?
So here's what I would say, because I don't like the Vegas. I don't like the odds. I don't like using that. I don't like using favorites because it's a team game. We see hypothetical matchups and we see disappointing teams. Like those eye tests relies a lot on recruiting rankings, transfer portal rankings. Like it kind of forgets about what the sport of football is supposed to be about. It's the greatest team game we've got. And you know who wouldn't be up there on eye test for a lot of the time? And then probably even until the last 4 or 5 games of the season? Indiana. Like they didn't pass the eye test a lot. So they might be a team that would get left
Why
out.
Why would you say that?
Last year, they almost got left out. And they were a one. Now, they're different. They backed it up this year. But they would have gotten left out last year. And I thought that would have been egregious. So this year, I'm looking at FPI, which is a power ranking, right? They have USC as a team that would be in the playoffs at 11. They're 9-3. They were underwhelming. They underperformed relative to their eye test. They've got a lot of good players. Like, I don't think you should just get the benefit of the doubt. What I wish we would get to, and this is more and more people are growing. I talked to Urban Meyer at the national championship game. I talked to Rhett Lashley earlier this season because I want to know, how do you fix this? There's a growing sense that we need to get rid of the committee. Like, let's get to a true and not even the computers, because the computers are biased as well. Why can't we figure out how to have a true playoff? Why can't we figure out how to play it on the field? You know, bring in 4 teams from the SEC, 4 teams from the Big Ten. If you want 4 and from the Big 12 and ACC, that'd be great. But I think it's probably 2, which I'm okay with. Don't think they're as powerful as the Big Ten and SEC. Figure out how to put them in, get rid of conference championship games, which are worthless and meaningless at this point anyway. They're just a moneymaker from the networks. And let's get a true playoff where you just go by the standings, you go by the conferences, you get in because you play your way in, and then you go play it on the field without a committee selecting who they think are the best teams. Let them figure it out in the field.
We had, for many, many years, sports writers and the AP vote and the coaches poll and the eye test. And the deeper we get into these playoff deals, it seems to come down to like, hey, our eyes weren't lying to us. The number 1 or number 2 ranked team seems to win the championship every year. Imagine that. People actually know what they're looking at. So why do we got to make it complicated? 12-team tournament. Okay, you finish in the top 12. You come up with a consensus between the sports writers and the coaches poll. You come up with your top 12. That's it. The people that watch the game and evaluate the game, they're not as dumb as we think.
You don't want to go backwards. You want to go backwards?
That's not going backwards. That's going back to what was great. That's make college football great again, because they're destroying it, Danny.
They are destroying it because of people in a room with conflicts of interest that completely bungle this thing by trotting out an athletic director to try and have him explain away, which is an impossible task. It really is. Hunter Yurchek, I feel bad for him. It's an impossible task to try to. You should just say, we think these are the 12 best teams. And we have to have 2 group of 5, but we think these are the 12 best. You'd be better off doing that than trying to each week give away and explain your explanation by using the data points, because that's where they've gotten into trouble. But I think the sport is, and this is really, I think the BCS argument, going back, would have made more sense when it was more clear cut, when there only were a handful of teams that felt like they could win it. I think this year and in the last year too, you're starting to see the talent spread out. So there are more than 2 teams who could legitimately win the national championship. Like if it was 2 teams this year, who would you go with?
Georgia and Indiana.
Not Ohio State?
Georgia and
Not
Indiana.
Oregon?
Indiana just beat Ohio State. What do I need to see that over? Indiana's 13-0. Georgia's 12-1. Let them have at it.
So
Ohio State had a chance to beat Indiana, and it would have been, we would be saying Ohio State and Georgia.
What about Texas A&M, who's a 1-loss team?
Texas A&M, I don't think is legitimate. I'm gonna give you the other team that I think is gonna get exposed, Texas Tech. I just watched them.
I would say that's the team you would say a 1-loss Big 12 champ. Why would you leave them out?
Because they're
just because you don't think they're good. Right.
I
don't think they're good either, but imagine telling a 1-loss Big 12 champion who's supposed to be a Power 4, they're a 1-loss Power champion, which they lost their only game without their starting quarterback. You're supposed to tell them you're not worthy, like you're just third place.
Here's what I would tell them. The same thing they used to tell guys like me playing in the Mid-American Conference. You're not even in this discussion. Thanks for playing, blah, blah, blah. But that's been going on for years. And people act like, and I said this in real time. This isn't recreated history. I came up with this joke, post-traumatic national championship disorder, that these people that finished number 2 spent the rest of their lives going, oh, I didn't get picked national champion, and now my life is ruined. It's just not that way. And college football, I'm for no playoff. I'm for a mythical national championship, vote, win your conference, go play in a bowl game. The old system was better. The bowl games actually had prestige. They mattered. Teams were in proper conferences, and there were rivalries like Ohio State and Michigan that made sense. Auburn and Alabama that made sense. What we have going on now, it doesn't make sense. And now everybody is like, man, these bowl games are like the NIT. I'm good. I don't need any of that. We need to go back to what was. It's no different than the rest of life. I don't want to drag you into all my stuff, but every Roe v. Wade needed to be overturned. The same-sex marriage thing needs to be overturned. We need to go back to factory settings.
So, in your world, last year, who would have been the national champion?
Last year, who finished ranked number 1 at the end of the year? Ohio State?
Yes.
Oregon?
But Oregon was the Big Ten champ, undefeated through the regular season. They would have been number 1 in the country at this point last year. Ohio State was the 4th best team in the Big Ten in the standings. But remember, they played them in the Rose Bowl in a rematch, worked them over, ran through the playoffs, and came away with the national championship. But in your world, in Jason Whitlock's world, they wouldn't even had an opportunity to play for a national champion. They would probably finish top 4, top 5.
And if you were to finish that sentence by not being national championship, the entire roster developed cancer and died within 12 months, I'd be like, okay, yeah, what a penalty they played. But instead, they went to a bowl game, played or lost in that, and did whatever, and they've gone on with their life. Some of them are in the NFL, some of them are insurance people, some of them, who knows? But this is like,
why in the only major sport? Because college football is a major sport. Like, I think it's more popular than the NBA. It's more popular than Major League Baseball. It's probably number 2 behind the NFL, right?
Yep.
Why in a major sport can we not figure out how to have a playoff like every other major sport in our country?
So if every other major sport was jumping off a building, we need to jump off buildings. That's the whole problem with this whole deal. Is like, we got to do what everybody else was doing. College football, major college football, had the most unique regular season of any sport on planet Earth. Every single game mattered. Every quarter mattered. Every point mattered. When Georgia would play Ball State, hey, man, we better beat them by 60, and so we're going to keep our foot on the gas all the way through the third quarter, maybe into the fourth quarter, because we got to win by a wide enough margin that we don't lose any stature or standing. Everything mattered. From week 1 all the way through week 11 or 12, that was unique. You didn't need to sacrifice that specialness just so you could be like everyone else. Everyone else has a tournament. Well, look at NCAA basketball. The tournament is starting to mean less and less. The regular season in college basketball has been completely destroyed. Now the regular season in college football has been diminished, and the bowl season has been destroyed. And there have been this tournament that's supposed to be just like the NCAA basketball tournament. Show me, there's no one shining moment videos for the college football tournament. It's not the same. No one remembers the alleged tournament. If they go to 12, 16, when they get to 24, this tournament, a football tournament, like, it just isn't the same. It was better when the regular season mattered, and then me and Danny could have stupid arguments about, well, Florida State, their one loss was better than Penn State. I don't know why Penn State was voted number 1. We could argue that in sports bars forever. Now we can't.
You know what I had Notre Dame fans telling me as I was saying head-to-head matters? They were asking for my 1993 national championship ring back
Boom.
because both Notre Dame and Florida State were one-loss teams at the end of the season. Our only loss was to Notre Dame. They wanted it back.
And I just talked about this last week because who won the head-to-head in the regular season? What?
We lost to Notre Dame in the game of the century in 1993 in South Bend. We lost that game in the regular season.
Yes, and I took the position then that, hey, what are we arguing about here? Notre Dame's beat them. And this is when the regular season used to really matter. Now that the regular season doesn't matter as much, I don't stand as firm as I did. But I remember that 1993 season, and I remember the arguments, and everybody survived. You mean no one from Notre Dame or Florida State developed cancer after that controversial decision? No one's life was ruined. They didn't fall into depression and everybody commit suicide? Or did you just go on with your life, Danny?
Well, I was on the right side of the argument. Like, I have a national championship ring, so I was on the right side of that one. I can't speak for every Notre Dame fan. I mean, they still feel like they're crying an awful lot about it. So I don't know if they're ever, they might have gone to therapy potentially, but it seems like they've gotten over it okay. So our sport, it runs the risk, right? There's so many changes. And since 2021, when we had the transfer portal open up, we had NIL legal. Like, we've seen more change in college football in the last 5 years, but if you want to go 10 years, than the previous 75 years. It is crazy, the rapid change. Conference realignment. It's the one thing you said that I would really agree. Like, Oklahoma, Texas to the SEC really did a lot of damage. So then it opened up the door where now the Pac-12 is gone. Like, it's destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore. They're trying to bring it back, but it's going to be a joke. We've got Cal and Stanford in the ACC. Makes zero sense whatsoever. That's the one thing that I do worry about. I would counter that more damage has been done by the player empowerment movement, where they are making money and they are going around. I think that players have been opting out of bowls. Like, we as a society, and I would put the onus on sports writers for this one, we're applauding. Way to go, Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey. Way to go. You guys shouldn't play in those bowls. What do you owe to those teams? And from that moment, which I think was in 2016, that moment on, it opened up the box for everybody to say, well, if I'm not even going to get criticized by anybody, and everybody's applauding me for doing the smart thing, for making a business decision, then why would I play in my bowl game? And I think that was where it really started. And then you've seen the erosion of what college football, the essence of college football, which was going to university for 4 years, playing with the guys you went there with, playing because you wanted to play for a national championship. Sure, if you made it to the NFL, that was great. But I never felt exploited, and that changed and now a lot of that came from sports writers who told these players, you're getting exploited. Everybody's making money. There is some truth in that too, right? The NCAA is not without fault. It did go on forever. They didn't respond. They could have taken action earlier. And if they would have just given players stipends 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would not be in this mess. But now here we are, and it's just everything's unraveling right in front of our eyes.
There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. It's never too late to do the right thing. And so, look, if they had, or if someone would say, hey, man, we got to dole out this money to the players more responsibly than this. And so, hey, as a freshman, you get to the end of the season, you meet these academic standards, here's your balloon payment at the end of the year. Sophomore, you get a different rate of pay. Here's your payment, blah, blah, blah. Junior, senior, and, it's based off playing in X number of games. If we had done all this responsibly, put a cap, there should be, in my some sort of reasonable cap on coaches and how much you can offer them to go here and there. And all of that, if we had done it responsibly, or if we had the willingness to do it responsibly. But I just think everybody kind of likes the corruption and the chaos. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones and Littlefinger say chaos is a ladder? That's what this whole thing is based on. Is chaos allows the exploiters to exploit and to further funnel money and power their direction. And that's all that's really going on here.
Totally. 100%. The money has corrupted the sport. And it's like nobody's right. Everybody got greedy. Everybody was collecting. And to some extent, they were hoarding all of the money. My big pushback, and I remember having this argument with Rosillo when I was on ESPN radio, because I was always amateur player. Like, these players, a scholarship is value, right? Like, I always felt like I got something worthy, and even more so for the non-revenue sports. Like, you talk to baseball players and soccer players, and they were like, "Are you kidding me? I get to go to college for free." They thought it was a great deal. And so I was always, there's value there. And then Rosillo would be like, "Well, and I was like, well, the numbers, like, there's not enough money to go around, because I was buying into a lot of the balance sheets and the discussion for the athletic department saying we're broke. But then we got to a point with the round of TV deals that were probably in 2017, 2018. And it was, you see the numbers on those deals. It was like, oh, there's plenty of money to go around for everybody, including the non-revenue sports, and to be able to pay the players. And that's when I kind of changed my mindset. Not to mention the court system. Like, the NCAA lost every significant battle in court. So you just read the tea leaves, and you could say you might like amateur sports, but it's not going to exist. They're not going to be able to hold up in a court of law.
The other thing for me, Danny, is I'm right there with you. I was a guy that was like, hey, man, this system for the overwhelming majority of players is fair. Jason Whitlock would probably still be stuck in the ghetto if not for some college football athletic ability and able to get a college scholarship because of football. Totally fair for me. And we sit around in Ball State and do the math during study table, how many hours we gave to football versus how much our scholarships were worth, and we're getting but we weren't. Most of us were like happy as hell. We're on a college campus and our meals are paid and we got a little money, blah, blah, blah. But once the glut of money came in at such an enormous level, and then point two, that the value at this point of a college education, given all the leftist brainwashing that goes on college campuses, I don't blame young people for saying, man, I ain't going to college so I can get brainwashed and be around a bunch of weirdos that want to convince me that, all of my Christian values are worthless. So I kind of get it. Like, now, like, no, give me some money, because these brainwashed professors you got, I want really no part of that. I run into kids now that have been homeschooled and never went to college that are super successful business people, all of that. That, to me, also has undermined the value of the college education, because so much of it is propaganda.
Totally agree. I have a ton of friends who, whether their kids were homeschooled or not. I got a buddy of mine who was like, hey, my kid doesn't know if he wants to go to college. He wants to start a business chartering boats and taking people out to fish. He's like, all right, I'll let him I'll loan him $100,000 as opposed to borrowing money to go to college. Let me help him start a business. The kid's crushing it. He's happy. He's figuring out life, customer service, how to run a business. It's great. You can always go back to college, and the more, as my kids are getting older and the more conversations I have, I think a lot of people are concerned about where they send their kids to college, making sure that they're not going to have any kind of indoctrination, and trying to make sure that their kids are able to stay true to their values and that they're not going to try to get brainwashed. That's the majority of people that I talk to that have kids that are going to college. That's the conversations they're having.
Danny, I'll let you go, but I have to bring this up before I let you go. We are now both living in the Shedeur Sanders era. He's been named officially the starter for the Browns the rest of the year. This feels to me like living during Dan Marino's time early in his career, after seeing Shedeur throw for 360 yards against that stout Tennessee Titans defense. Are you as impressed as everybody else with Shedeur's performance against the Tennessee Titans? Are you prepared to live in Shedeur's world?
Whew. I mean, I'm just waiting for him to hold out this offseason for more money. I mean, he's only getting paid like a fifth rounder. I would not be surprised if that comes sooner rather than later. He needs another strong finish to the season. That will be brought up. I told you I thought you would see ups and downs right? And I'm just, just ride the wave because there's going to be ups. And right now, I mean, he played good. He made some good throws. And he still comes with the antics, right? He's out there. He's got the watch celebration as soon as, and he's getting trolled by the Titans as they're doing it too. That is all what comes with the territory. He loves the microphone in his face. He loves, interacting with the media. He's enjoying the fruits of his labor right now. I would say enjoy it while it lasts because it is a bumpy ride. So we'll see how the season finishes out. It's very clear to me though, like what were you going to do if you're the Browns? Like he did have a good performance. He did play well enough. This is his opportunity, but this isn't surprising to me. I still thought coming out he could be Geno Smith. Like I think he could be somebody who does play in the league a long time. And Geno Smith had some really good years. But man, Geno Smith is like such a good pro. Have you ever heard Geno Smith talk? He is impressive as it gets. He is not about the flash. He is about being a pro. And he carries himself like a franchise quarterback should. Gives credit to his teammates. He's very buttoned up. Like he is sharp as a quarterback. Go read some of his comments, just like when he was playing with the Seahawks and he had that year when, he had 30 touchdown passes. He is impressive. And he's been through a lot. He's seen a lot. And I think that's where Shedeur is going to learn. There's going to be a lot, and you got to learn how to handle it all. And you got to be ready for the ups and the downs. So I'm ready. It's Shedeur's world. We're just living in it.
I love the Geno comparison because keep in mind, when Geno came into the league, he had a lot of swagger and a little extra to him, and that got knocked out of him. He got embarrassed nationally, and I think he got humbled and kind of reinvented himself. And I think if that happens to Shedeur, if he somehow humbles himself, then yes, he could be Geno Smith, maybe 50, 75 starts in his NFL career, one of these big contracts, $30, $40 million a year. Great. That's, I think, his ceiling, and that's probably a little bit higher. Well, no, it's not. That's about what I thought. If he can tame his personality. I don't think he's going to be able to tame his personality. I don't think he'll ever get humbled. And so I tend to think he's going to be a flash in the pan. And again, did you watch much of this Titans game?
Yeah.
I don't see the zip on the football. I see a guy that floats a lot of passes because he's directing them, trying to make sure it's the most catchable deal in the world. And when he faces a good defense with some disguised zone coverages and a pass rush, just floating the ball out there and, trying to be super duper precise, aiming the football rather than letting it fly. I think what we saw this past weekend was fool's gold. I pointed this out yesterday, Danny. Each team had 15 total drives. That's an anomaly. You don't get that many opportunities. The average this past weekend was 10 total drives for each team. The low was like 7. To get 15 opportunities, that's why he ended up, Tennessee starts relaxing. They got a double-digit lead. And at the very end of the game, he makes some plays. But I'm going to leave Shedeur alone.
When was the last – I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a great quarterback, and whatever you define as great quarterback, at the microphone after a heartbreaking loss as happy as Shedeur was? Like that to me tells you a lot about the makeup. Like I want to see my quarterback ticked off. He can throw for 400 yards, 500 yards, but you lose, you're upset. And that's the one thing that's kind of concerning. But that is a trend. Again, I think he loves the microphone. I mean, he's 1-2 as a starter. It's about to get real with the Bears, Bills, and Steelers and Bengals to finish out the season. So we'll find out a lot more. But I just think he's got to get a lesson in like awareness of the situation, which the situation's always been about Shedeur.
I think you've nailed it. I think that's a great point that I hadn't gotten to this week, and I'm glad you did, Danny. Thank you for the time. We'll see you again next week. Yeah.
You got it, Jace.
Yep. I love Danny's point there at the end. I mean, they lose the game, and Shedeur Sanders is overjoyed and thrilled because he can't think about the team. He can only think about how this game impacted him. And I don't think that makes him unique in this modern era. And I'll defend him in the fact that like there's so much money at stake for these players that when they hit that, oh, like, man, I need 5 lottery numbers and I just hit 2 of them. And that's what Shedeur just felt like. Man, throwing for 360. Now I get to be the quarterback the rest of the year. I'm getting closer to cashing my lottery ticket. He can't conceal his glee and joy because he knows how much money's at stake if he could reveal himself to be a starting caliber quarterback, if he could, like, hey, the Browns shouldn't draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft. That's all dollar signs in his head. He can hear a cash register going all the time. I think that's all of these players right now. And so to some, or not all, but a lot of these players right now. Anyway, Danny, thank you so much. We got a little bit more fearless. Next. And many of these black professional athletes that want to run around with their little hip-hop victim mentality. There go the bad guys. They're the real bad guys. They think I'm the bad guy. But those are the real bad guys.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. Go on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
All right, welcome back. Jason Whitlock, your final segment of this morning, tonight's early, late night live edition of Fearless. Shemeka Michelle joining me. Shemeka, what are you still doing awake? Don't you have something
Only for
better?
you, Jason. Only for you.
You just come from the club?
I'm barely awake. I'm smiling, but I'm really sleeping. I'm sleep recording.
Well, I got a couple of interesting things for us to talk about. I'm actually going to do it in reverse order. I want to start with, have you seen this Tim Pool, Candace Owens meltdown? Man, things are popping in the conservative podcast space. I literally don't know what to make of this. I just saw it and I was like, well, I better talk to Shemeka about it. Let's play do we got the side? Let's play the side of Tim Pool melting down on Candace Owens.
Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you fucking told me? She has no security. She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these conservatives out there that send me these messages have no balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't.
It just went on and on and on like that for 3-4 minutes. I don't know what to make of this. Do you have a thought?
Jason, hated it. I saw this with Tim in a pair of pink panties. I'm not sure who put him up to this, but I know they don't think Tim Pool can bully people into coming after Candace. Like, this was just a weak attack. He also went on and on about how his security costs so much that it's costing more than the show makes. Like, I don't believe him. I don't buy it. He said that someone came by and was shooting and his security was going to look into it. So your security looked into it before you called the police. Like, I don't understand what this man is saying, but I am telling you, Jason, Candace has a lot of these so-called straight men looking very, very feminine in their behavior.
Yeah, I've met Tim Pool probably twice. I went out to West Virginia or wherever, the D.C. area, and did his show. He's been here to Nashville and I did his show. So I've actually spent more time with Tim Pool than Candace Owens. And, you know, this was probably 3 years ago since the last time I've done anything with Tim Pool. They've invited me back on the show, but I haven't gone or haven't had it fit into my schedule. But, I mean, this, and there was some reference he made that he was on a thumbnail of Candace's show about people that benefited from Charlie's death. And so I'm talking a little bit blind here. I want to fully understand what has potentially triggered him, and I don't fully know the details. Someone wants to email me, fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com, that has more details. That's fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com, or hop in the chat and give me a deeper explanation. But I just, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the consequences of that, and the, in my view, justified paranoia that many activists, influencers are feeling, because, you know, again, Charlie Kirk wasn't an elected official. He wasn't a congressman. He wasn't a president. He was an influencer that got murdered. And so I get why people feel stressed and under duress, because, you know, many of us, or many of them, feel like they're on the front lines of this. But I've even seen people, Shemeka, speculating that, hold on, did his house really get shot up? And if so, why? And then they're saying that he referenced a year ago or 2 years ago on this same date, something similar happening. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about those things, Jason. I was trying to look into it quickly, but I do see him oftentimes just go on these rants, and it's just always silly to me. I always see it, and I think to myself, my grandfather would never act that way. When I see him acting like a female, just going off, just screaming, just calling these names. We have someone else that we've seen kind of be unhinged like that. One of your favorite people, Stephen A. Smith. And when I see this happening, I just shake my head, Jason. It's a terrible look for them. It's just very feminine, and you only see women really do all that ranting and raving and screaming and just losing control and not being in control of their emotions. It's not a man's way to act.
It certainly felt intentional. I use that word instead of orchestrated, but it's like he wanted to raise a big stink and go viral, and he has, and perhaps he will inspire this next round of we must cancel or ignore Candace Owens. I'm sure that'll be popping off all today. So perhaps mission accomplished. You know, I don't know what to make of Tim. I don't know what to make of this reaction. I'll give it some more thought. I wanted to ask you one other thing about this Cinnabon controversy. And this one I do have a clear position on. There's some woman, middle-aged, I think maybe in her 40s, that says I think there's proof that maybe she was being harassed by some Somali people. She called them the N-word. She's got a GoFundMe that's up to more than 100K. We got a clip here of the confrontation, I think, between the Somalis and this white woman. Let's play this clip.
Visualizing your body makes you a better person.
Are you recording?
I'm gonna record you. Yes.
Do you want me to throw water on you? I am racist.
So idiot, for
And
real.
you are.
Idiot. No,
I
I'm
am
not.
racist, and I'll say that to the whole entire world. Don't be disrespectful.
You ruin your life, by the way.
Oh, talking about You talk about respect? You talking about respect? You are fired from this place, man. You're not gonna be working here. Sackwag. Look how you talking about ugliness?
Did I stutter?
You're the ugliest person I ever seen in my life.
Good.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Because you know damn well you're a
Respect.
evil.
Respect. Keep squeezing that caramel, bitch. Get the out of here.
That was meant for you.
So this woman, I think, has got a bit of a criminal record and criminal history. When I see videos like this from either side, I don't know what's orchestrated, what's real. I'm not out in the streets enough is this how people behave at Cinnabon or while waiting in line at, any of these places? What's the coffee place there? Starbucks. Is this what people do at Starbucks or whatever? Is this real? What am I watching here?
Yeah, I heard it was actually orchestrated and that they were all in on this together. If so, everyone who donated should feel crazy. But if this is actually real, Jason, I'm actually appalled. I'm appalled that the amount is up to 100,000 because listen, I can say the N-word. I can say it like a black person, so N-word. Or, I could have given Karen, oh my God, N-word with the ER. I could have said it for half the price. So, I'm frustrated that it is that easy for people to raise that amount of money for something so simple.
It is. And I was just kind of speaking out loud, like not really thinking it through, but this seems like a pretty good hustle that this woman with a little bit of a negative criminal history partners up with some Somalis and say, hey, look, we can have a little racial incident and raise $100,000. This is probably an hour's worth of work. They film something, they put it out over social media, and the next thing you know, there's a Gibson go. Let's support the white woman that dropped the N-word. And, F these Somalis that have invaded our country. What a hustle and scam they likely pulled off. Hats off to all of them. I'm glad I didn't give any money because I got to be, if I was choosing between a Somali and this woman, just keeping it real, I'd probably choose the woman because, I'm not someone that's going to pretend like, oh, I heard the N-word and my life is over and this person must be... The whole thing. What a gimmick. What a scam. What a hustle. Final thought, and then we can both go to bed.
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably a liberal white woman and a Somalian. They came together to say, let's pretend that maybe you are a Trump supporter upset over the Somalians, because that's kind of what's in the news right now. Let's just make it seem as if, we're saying, I don't know, I'm the captain now. It's silly to me, and I think it was planned.
Shemeka, thank you for staying up so late. Appreciate you. It's 1 a.m. your time. It's 12 a.m. my time. I'm going to bed. Thank you, Shemeka, and thank you guys. Oh, I owe Kindred Tea. Make sure we get to Kindred Tea on Wednesday. I owe Kindred Tea. That's the last thing we forgot to do. Thank you, Kindred Tea. We will be giving you a make good on Wednesday. All right, we'll see you next time here on Fearless.